9th, Boston. 9 to 2. No, 10 to 3. Still Boston. Serge, I have a question. I know some people have asked me about what we as Lebanese call in our typical euphemism the difficult years, i.e. the war years. And I know you have a few stories, and I'm sure you have some philosophy behind those stories. So,
no, I have absolutely no story. But I'm going to give you a small hint about my experience in Lebanon. Just before the war started against Iraq, CNN had a program about the showdown on Iraq. And they came to Lebanon and they wanted to interview me. And I told them, I'm a winemaker. Why do you want to interview me? You have all the politicians of Lebanon. He said, no, we have a program and we want to interview you. We've been interviewing political ministers in Syria, another minister in Jordan, and they came to Lebanon. They wanted to have my opinion. So I sat down and told them, I cannot make an interview with you without holding a glass of wine in my hand. So they said, okay, if you desire, your wish, we're going to abide. So we came down to the winery. We opened a bottle of 95, and they interviewed me with a bottle of 95, pouring in my glass, and I tasted the wine. I said, let me tell you one thing. You are asking me what my opinion about what's happening now in the world. And because Lebanon was the first country to suffer from terrorism, we lived with it, we cried, we called for help. Nobody answered. We told you in those days, beware, this is going to touch the whole world. Now, after September 11, we realized that terrorism has no border. Terrorism has no face. Terrorism has no rules. And what we suffered of, and which almost destroyed our country, is going to affect the whole world. I have no other answer. So the fight for terrorism is a fight of all humanity to protect humanity. This is my answer to politicians, but it's an answer of a winemaker. So if I have to tell you about the stories I lived in Lebanon, I have so many, but there is one which is something I always remember. When the war started in Lebanon, it was the first vintage, was in September 75. The war has started on the 13th of 75. And we received equipment to be able to operate in equipment in the winery. So I asked somebody in the company to go and pick it at the airport, and nobody there to go. So I said, I'll go myself. I went alone. There was no problem. To go to the airport in those days in Beirut, you had to cross a line which was dividing East Beirut from West Beirut. So I went to West Beirut. I arrived to a place which was on the way to the airport, and I realized that there was a barrage, a kind of checkpoint, which were catching people and killing them. But it was on the other side of the road. So I continued my road. I arrived to the airport, got the equipment, and then thought, what should I do now? should I drive back or should I wait? You could see, I can see what you said, and I would say wait and drive.
Oh, at your winery.
Because people usually say wait and see.
No.
So I had to make a decision, and finally I said, it is my fate, I'm going to drive back. And I decided to go the same route. And when I arrived to the place where the checkpoint was, it had disappeared. So I realized that God did not want me yet. And this is why I've been able to live all my life in the war in Lebanon, going everywhere, never changing my way. I've seen many friends of mine killed. I've seen driving on the roads, people killed by shells. I have never changed my route. And war did finish in Lebanon, but we still have no peace. Because the war which started in Lebanon is the war we are having today are for the same reason. Lebanon is a very, very old country, probably the oldest in the world. But also it's a country where we have the first melting pot ever. You are the last melting pot, but we are sometimes suffering from the same problem. So I am now living in Lebanon, and believe me, I'm afraid anytime I have to fly to the States. I've been flying to the States for the first time in a year, which had never happened to me. I have had to wait at the airport on my arrival, although I don't have an American passport. I don't have a Lebanese passport. I have a Mexican passport. I was stopped, was checked, and today I flew from Los Angeles to San Francisco. For 20 minutes, they searched everything I had. They opened one paper after the next. And I hope that this thing will not continue, because humanity will come up to a standstill if those things continue. So, these are the consequences of
No. They knew about the wine. They were looking for
78. And when I told her I'm coming for wine tasting, she said, show me the wine. I said, I have no wine, I have just one half sample. She said, show it to me. Could you explain to me what it is, how you make it? Then she let me free. So, the stories about the war in Lebanon are numerous, but Lebanon has been the victim of its fate since the very first age of the history of Lebanon. So we have been destroyed through ages, and this is why when war started in Lebanon, instead of leaving Lebanon, I decided that I would start a project of rebuilding Lebanon. And I started building a village which was destroyed during the war, and I did continue to build it. And today, if you ever come to Lebanon, come and visit me, I'll show you something else at my winery, something I was building also in Lebanon. So this is to tell you something. Lebanese people have learned that you have always to believe, should never despair, and we have to continue to fight for freedom. Freedom is the key word. So now, let's talk about wine. The wines now we are tasting are different. We are tasting wines which are a little bit less for the brain and more for the tummy. So, we serve you two nearby wines, 95 and 94. I'm sure that some of you did like 95, some of you did think that the 94 was better with the meat you had. The meat you had would need something different than the 95. And 94 hadn't. But both wines are very much alike and so different. So who could talk about the difference and the similarity? And after this, I'll tell you why I'm asking this question.
97 and 94.
Oh, sorry, yeah, it's 97 and 94. So, who has to say something?
You have to get someone on this side of the table. Yes.
Yeah.
The 94 seems slightly Pétion.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
It's answering all the questions.
I had a question in which I had the reflection about the 94. It is slightly physical. Who had it physical? Who did not have it physical?
We have
Good.
physics.
Great. So, reflection. Is it wrong or is it not wrong?
It's natural sometimes for wines to be slightly Pétion when they're young.
Okay. I am going now to tell you something which you have all experienced in your life. Sometimes in your life, you wake up and you feel a little bit dizzy, fizzy, not good. Because when there is a first storm in the year, those of you who have a leg which was broken, they might feel it because of the incoming storm. The wine which is alive, when weather changes, you have some wines who get sick or who start to move, and they show what is the life in them, it's business. So it is a way to express that the wine is still very alive. As long as once you open the wine, you decant it, give it half an hour and let it breathe and you drink it. If you do not get as much pleasure from it than you will get from another wine, then you can discuss it. If you get more pleasure out of it, so you look for business sometimes. So it depends on the vintage, it depends on the hour, it depends on the way you serve the wine. So, other than the business, what is to taste better with the meat? 94 or 97? What matches the meat better? Who has an answer? Nobody could have an answer, because there is no answer. The answer, it depends on your palate, on your taste. It depends if you have it with another thing. It depends also on the way you leave the wine in your mouth. If you leave the wine in your mouth, 94 in the mouth, if you leave it for 3 seconds more, will have a different effect and will much better the meat than the 97. 97 was probably a little bit better with the fish, because the fish was great. I think the fish was made to be accompanied by another tougher red wine and did not need white wine. This is nonsense to many of you, but believe me, sometimes those are data we were brought with. You have to make your own judgment. Pick up what you like with what you like. Do the things the way you want them. Never listen to nobody, especially to me. Okay? Never. Okay? Do the things the way you want them. So, who wants more 94? I need more 94. No, I should not drink too much, because I reached an age where I discovered that whenever I drink more than 2 glasses per night, I feel it the day before. So I cannot.
That's what Einstein said.
Yeah, you know, once you get into the winemaking process, realize that each year is influenced by the previous year and will influence the next year. So there are definitely some similarity between nearby vintages, although they must be different, but there are some similarities which are due to the nature, which is very much affected by the previous year. So,
Sir, I have a question.
yeah.
Some people might know this, but maybe some don't, that the irrigation of the vines are all natural. There's no forced irrigation. It's all coming from snowmelt. And the sunshine is pretty much constant year after year in the Bekaa Valley. So, what are the weather parameters that affect the wine mostly from year to year?
You asked a question which is basically many different questions. And but I want to know, in the Lebanon, we have no rain from June to September, which makes the other parameters which make vintage in the nature, in the climate, more important. So, we divide the year in two parts. The part of the year where it rains and the part where it does not rain. When it does not rain, the climate could be cloudy, could be hot, could be humid, could be dry, could be cold, could be quite mixed. And this makes each year different, and because we don't have the rain, which is almost an equalizer into the quality of the harvest, this makes that each year is much more different than anywhere else in the world. And this is why, in the wines you tasted today, you discovered definitely something that none is totally alike the other. This is due to the fact that the nature gave a different fruit. In '94, we had a specific year where for 2 months, from the 20th of August to the 20th of October, we had quite a hot, dry weather, which is not usual in Lebanon. Instead of having 25 degrees during the daytime, we had 40 degrees for 1 month, 2 months continuously. This made this phenomenon develop into the vine, into concentrating the sugar and concentrating the acid, and which made this year '94 a very specific year, which was almost what we call a late harvest wine. And this is why this wine today is still a little bit fizzy, because we have this concentration. And this is an explanation. But because I tried not to explain everything, because once you try to explain everything, you realize that you are wrong. This is why I let things show what they are, and this is the best way. So, to go back to the weather, because in Lebanon we have a lot of snow, and we have very high mountains where the snow in the summertime melts and brings the humidity to the soil and irrigates the vine. Because in Lebanon, our law forbids the irrigation. In Lebanon, although we are supposed to be in a hot country, we are not allowed to irrigate, which is what is in the US is not conceivable, to have a vine which is not irrigated. In Lebanon, we do not irrigate it. And this is what makes our wines much more natural than any wine you could get elsewhere. I hope I have answered your two questions, which were one question, which was 10 other questions. Because, yeah.
Can you explain why you ferment in concrete?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh, fermenting concrete, yeah. And because you're asking me a question which I did not mention, it means you read it somewhere.
No, well, I know your wine.
You know my wines. Okay, first answer. 8 years ago, I decided to go on stainless steel. So I had a new cellar with concrete, with stainless steel, and very quickly I discovered that the wine would taste different. So I took one wine, put it partly in concrete and partly in stainless steel, and tasted the wines. 1 week later, nothing. 1 month later, slight difference. 3 months later, totally different. Different structure, different body. But what did strike me and finally did make me feel unhappy was the fact that the wines which were in stainless steel did have some metallic aftertaste. If I would have talked to you about it, you can't understand it. But if I show you two wines which have been the same wine in the very beginning, and which show that they are different, and the difference is this metallic approach, I said to myself, this will kill Musar on the long term. So I stopped using the stainless steel for the Chateau Musar wines, while I have to use it for all the other wines, the whites and younger red wines. You could, if you drive one, you can take a tank in concrete. You rub it and you try to taste your finger. And you take a tank in stainless steel, you rub it and you taste your finger, and you realize it tastes different. And this is the fact of life, that metallic things have to give something. Wine is a very sensitive product. It's so sensitive that, with an exception of glass, it is affected by everything, and it's more affected by its cork. So a wine is not corky, it's not cork, but any wine has its cork history. And any wine is a result of the wine with its cork. So this has nothing to do with stainless steel, but this is to show you that wine is a very sensitive product. Okay.
No, not a lot of people.
Yeah, because it's like not a lot of people now do accept to give birth without the help of a doctor.
But how did you decide?
Because this was around in the world 50 years ago when I was a kid, when I was making wine. Okay. So I had to do with what was handy. Okay? So now I give you back the micro. You have to talk.
Enjoy your tea.
No, I can't talk.
10-3, Boston, game over.
Well, it's dinner.
Finish.
I don't know, at room temperature or cellar temperature. And as you notice, this wine is not chilled. If you chill it, you take a lot of its taste. This is why. Now, if you want, I'm ready to talk about wine once I have tasted it.
One of them was kind of
This one was a cheese, a cheddar. What is it? Does it send it there?
Take the one check.
Yes, yes, Yeah, we've This is that technique for most people in Lebanon. Just the upper deck.
Et on l'a introduit à Chateau Musar. And he went and so he has a nice collection of Chateau Musar.
I have 91,
We want to get someone that, you know, not the
Because those are the same wine. Those are red wines. This is a red one. And grape. Those are grapes from
Everyone.
It's a family-owned business for 3 generations now. It's a passion for wine, a no debt, probably I assume, enterprise, one where winemaking is really the essence of what, and philosophy of life is what Serge is about. And before I want to ask one question, maybe it's not the final question, but one question that I always wanted to ask you. But before doing so, tonight on PBS at 8 o'clock, and I'm taping it, there's a National Geographic special. I'm not making it up. You can go back and check it out. The program, listen to this, the program, Quest for the Phoenicians. Explore the seafaring Phoenicians, their culture, and where they have gone. Well, we know where they have gone. Most of them are right here in the French Club tonight. I mean, the descendants of the Phoenicians. And to my question, Serge, you've spoken about wine and philosophy of winemaking and the blends and all these things. My question is, I'd like you to talk about wine and sex.
Oh, wow.
Sorry, you touched me on my weakness. And because I have to answer your question, I'm going to put you into the world of senses, because sex is nothing compared to the world of senses. And if you understand the world of senses, you'll be at the same time the human, the body, and the sex. But this is related basically to the brain. So if you learn how to enjoy wine, you develop a way, your brain awareness for understanding all the senses through your ability by using your senses. Wine has the advantage of helping you developing the knowledge of yourself and knowledge of your senses. An example, if you try to taste the wine and you just have it in your mouth and you swallow it, you do not use all your senses. If you learn before drinking the wine, looking at it, you develop the sense of observation, which is a very, very important sense. We, most of the time, do not use, if not misusing it. If you develop your awareness for observation, you realize that you could taste before even touching, before even smelling. And then this will help you to be prepared to understand what you're going to smell, taste, touch, and then have the pleasure of your senses integrated together. So there is a process into the tasting process, which is the following. You have to look, then you have to smell, but also when you smell, you have to learn to smell. That's not a sexual encounter, but this is the way you could develop your knowledge of the world which surrounds us, the world in which we live, and the world we spend most of our life. So, after you have smelled the wine, you can, by putting it in your mouth, you could imagine that you have tasted it while you have not yet tasted it. You taste the wine when you give your brain the opportunity to start think about what you have in your mouth after having been able to observe it. If you close your eyes, your sensations are reduced. You are not able to smell and taste the same thing if you have closed your eyes. So, I will not continue into this subject because I have always used my approach to senses to be a sensual person. And I have learned that whenever I feel my body with all my senses, I feel I'm a human being. Otherwise, I feel nothing. And a person does not exist if a person does not exist if a person does not use its senses. So, to put it in the way you want it is to bring it to the epitome of the abuse of senses. But you could be clever and use your senses to the stage without abusing them, which will make you feel stronger all the day and night. Okay?
Thank you.
Any questions other than sexual questions on wine?
We wouldn't dare.
Bart, Serge, and all those that have helped put this event together, thank you very much. It was, I believe, everybody really enjoyed it. Serge, it's always a pleasure to have you. And we're so honored to have you second time here at the French Club. Come and see us again, and good luck, and Godspeed with the winemaking. Thank you.
Thank you. And could there be a more outstanding representative of Lebanon and of these wines, hospitality and friendship, warmth and love? You. Thank you so much.
Before I forget one thing, the baklava that we had tonight came straight from Beirut. We carried it with her, and she was the one who cleared it through customs.